folks want to, I can send it out to a few people. So yeah, so just so you know who I am Ivan Ingerman, Professor Ivan Ingerman. I've just become full professor last year, but I've been with the university since 2007, so almost
Wow.
19 years now. Yikes.
And I was born in 2007.
Okay, wow. Okay, there we go. So I'm the professor of costume design. I'm also the head of design in the Department of Theater and Film. I'm also a professional costume designer for theater, film, and television, and all kinds of themed entertainment. So basically, anyone who will pay me. You could see some of my work at ingermandesign.com if you want to check out, the kind of stuff I've worked Disney and with Natalie Portman
Wow.
and all kinds of fun people throughout the years. I've also traveled. I've been lucky enough to have traveled. There's me in 1991 in Moscow when it was still the USSR. Thank you very much. In the bottom right. And so some of my other favorite places to go was Morocco and Spain and Maui. Who doesn't love Maui, right? But I've been about all over the place. And some of it's been work and some of it's been pleasures. So nice combination thereof. Our program is actually going to have a TA with us. Brielle Sanders is our TA. She is a second year MFA in production design, and she just designed Evil Dead, the musical, if you caught that in November.
I saw it. It was really good. The set was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I
Okay,
really
right.
liked it.
Yeah, she was the set designer for that. So,
Awesome.
pretty big undertaking. So she's going to be with us in Greece as we travel throughout the magical land of Greece. So there's a couple of things to keep in mind. Just remember the dates because the program we did shorten it a bit just by 6 days. And right now we're departing on the 22nd. That means we arrive in Athens, Greece on the 23rd. So all those flights are typically red eyes that leave from the United States. And I'll go over flight information later. But that means we arrive in Athens on the 23rd. So if you're traveling separately, if you want to go ahead and go there before and then meet up with us, we arrive on the 23rd, not on the 22nd. So just FYI.
Good to know.
Yeah. And then the program ends on July 14th. So if you Bastille Day, if you want to celebrate Bastille Day, by either departing for France or back to the States or other parts beyond, then go for it. But the program in Greece ends on the 14th.
Okay.
There's going to be some monthly orientation meetings that happen on Mondays from 5:30 to 6:30 in room 310 for some of those. And others we're going to have on Zoom. So I do like to usually have everybody meet right off the bat just to gather and so that we really get in who our cohort is that we're traveling with before we break out and go onto Zoom. So those are just meetings that will cover like, how to travel internationally and what about Greece and specifics about Greece. The language will do a little like quick phrases that you might want to know and just particulars about Greece itself. And then later, after we find out about our the season is announced at the Athens Epidaurus Festival, which isn't announced until April. I'll talk about that in a second. We have other meetings right before we leave. So June 15th through the 19th, we have some classes. That's when our classes kind of officially start on Zoom. We'll have those right before we leave. So just to mark your calendars for those kinds of things. That's just some things that are to add into your calendar. And then so most people want to know, wait, where are we going? And you probably understand just the whole point of this whole trip is to go back where theater, Western theater began. So we want to really travel to back to one of the epicenters in Greece. Of course, ancient Greece was made up of different city-states. And one of the principal ones, of course, was Athens. Athens, Greece, had its own uh, um, traditions of theater, most of which we center on when we're talking about Western theater. So when I say Greek theater, I really mean Athens theater, and that's in Athens OG. And we're going to be participating in the Athens Epidaurus Festival. More on that in a second. We get to visit important sites such as the Theater of Dionysus, or you'll hear it called Dionysus. So get used to hearing Theonosus when they reference Dionysus. It takes a minute for our brains to register that as the same god. So we'll have local expert guides and historians. So actually, I have lined up when we go to the Theater of Dionysus, we're going to be talking to an archaeologist who has worked at dig sites there in at the Agora. They just confirmed that today, so I got an exciting email. And also a colleague of mine who was a costume designer and another archaeologist for the University of Peloponnese. So we have all these professional academic Greek specialists to go over all these different artifacts that we see. We arrive in Athens on the 23rd of June. That first day is really a catch up on jet lag at just a minute to get your bearings. For those of you who haven't traveled to Europe or to the eastern way is usually when you encounter most of the jet lag, just getting your body used to the different time zone. So in the morning, after we arrive at the airport, we'll have a bus waiting there to take us to the hotel. So depending on when you arrive, we'll have a window of about 2 hours, a 2 hour window for people to get to the airport there in the morning. Um, and then you have free time until 3 when we can all meet up at the hotel that's in the center of Athens, which is called Plaka, the Plaka district. And we have a little meetup there at 3. And then you get to like settle into your room and have a welcome dinner. So we have a dinner that's in the heart of Athens there too. Then we start in the morning on the 24th with a tour of the Acropolis. So nothing like just hit it while we got it right there. The top of Athens at the Acropolis. Not only do we tour the Parthenon and the Erechtheion and the other buildings that are there on the top, but also the tour of the Theater of Dionysus I just talked about. And so that we take a break for lunch. You guys can run off and have lunch on your own, and then we get back together in the afternoon. Nice air-conditioned Acropolis Museum, which is just adjacent to the Acropolis, so you can see some of the artifacts from the Acropolis, the ones that the British haven't made off with. So that's something to keep in mind. And then the next day, so you in the evening, you have free after the museum visit, after lunch, and then you have the whole evening there to explore Athens. And then, but don't get too lost because the next morning we've got to head to Santorini, otherwise known as Thera. So when you see the word Thera, that's the Greek term for the island. Santorini is a Roman or Latin version of the island. It's named for one of the saints, Saint Teresa. So Santorini, that's where it got its name. So Thera, when we get there, so we have all day in the morning. Our ferry takes about 4 or 5 hours to get down to Santorini. But then you have the afternoon free. There's a pool. I'll show you pictures of that in a second. You can jump in and have a great time. And then we have a tour of the town where the Blue Domes is on the northern point of Santorini, and that's a town called Ia. So there you get to explore the town until sunset. So everybody, it's a big deal to see sunset in Ia. And all the cruise ships blow their horns and have a big blast out of it. People cheer, and yeah, it's a big fun time. Um, the next day, we take a tour of Greece's Pompeii, which was called Akrotiri, and that's on the bottom right. It's a town or a civilization that was connected to the Minoans, which were centered in Crete, but this was considered a pseudo colony of the Minoans. Um, and some very important artifacts were discovered there at the Akrotiri site in the 60s and 70s. So we'll take a look at that town. It's not anywhere near as big as Pompeii, but at least you'll see what life was like in 1600 BC. So almost 2,000 years before Pompeii, the explosion of Vesuvius, um, which was a 5 on the volcanic eruption scale. This volcanic eruption was a 7. It was really considered at the top of the topmost scale and wreaked havoc on the Mediterranean civilizations at the time. But you'll hear more about that later. And then in the afternoon, or just after that, we were take two couple of hours there at Akrotiri, so not too long, and then we head off to the beach. So you get to go to Parisia Beach, and have at least 2 hours of free time there, and have lunch and shopping and whatever you want to do. You can go back. I can show you how to get back to the hotel with local buses and water ferries, water taxis from Parisia Beach, so you can stay there longer if you'd like, or you can come back with us on the bus. Okay, and then the next day you have morning free time. So if you spend a little bit too much time at the beach, you have a little time to recover there until 1 o'clock when we go on a hike of and a sunset cruise. So we hike the volcano, which is still active. It's not turbulent, but you may have heard last summer they had some earthquakes that hit Santorini. Not anything too momentous, but this area is known prone for earthquakes. It's still very active. So we go on a sunset cruise. You see the boats there in the upper right. I'm going to show you some videos in a second so you can check that out. And on the cruise, they have dinner. So there's incredible wooden boats there on the right, and really great, amazing experience to have for sure. Um, and then the next morning, we get up a little bit late, but we have a tour of the Archaeological Museum of at Akrotiri, where you see the mosaics, really incredible frescoes and artifacts, chairs and furniture that was discovered there that has been frozen in time. No bodies. So if you're freaked out by plaster cast of bodies there from Pompeii, don't worry. You will not find any human cast there. For some reason, they think they may have had an early like, oh, let's get out of town because it looks like it's time to go. So. At least they haven't discovered any of the bodies yet. So, um, okay, and this is just a little. You get to see a little bit here of the cruise that happens. These are the ships that we're on. It was really windy that day that we went on this trip, so you just get a sense of that. How gorgeous the weather is there, and that's the town of Dia that we're looking up into the point. So you had gone there the day before. And then we get to swim in the sulfur volcanic hot springs that are there. So this is what that looks like. So you're hanging out right outside the boat and taking a quick dip. And then after that, you can visit the bar and have a good time dancing the Greek wedding dance. You kind of have to do it. So if you're dance adverse, you might rethink that. It's a good time. You don't have to participate, but it's worth it there. Okay, so it's moving. Okay, and this is what those Santorini sunsets look like. So you can see the number of people. Everybody comes out. They come off the boats, they go up to the beautiful Bougainvillea is one of my favorites. So you see beautiful sunset, you can hear the music. See a little kitty cat, man. Lots of cats. Cats are everywhere. Keeps down a mice population. Yeah, so then the next so that evening after we've seen the gone to the museum of Akrotiri, then we go to get on a ferry and head off to Naxos. So it's another island on the cyclic chain that makes up where Santorini is kind of on the south end of that, where the Naxos is kind of in the middle. And so we arrive in the evening of this. The next day, we have a short class, believe it or not, we'll have a short class on Delos. So the importance of Delos, because that's where we're going to go the next day. So you'll have the remainder of that day free. But so the next day, we do a day trip to Delos. This is the birthplace of the god Apollo and his twin sister. Um, and so you'll understand why the god of sun was born there because it is warm and sunny. But you're going to see these amazing sights here on the right. You can see a house, a leftover house. This is the main peristyle courthouse of a very fancy house there. You get to see shops, banks. There's still water that cisterns that they're collected, and then there's a theater there on Delos as well that we'll see when we get there. And then after that, we go for lunch in Mykonos. So you guys get to we pull up to Mykonos, and you get to go off and have fun and go grab lunch somewhere. So then after Mykonos, we head back on our ferry, and you have the whole evening free to recuperate. And you have the whole day the next day, July 1st, to recuperate. So you get an evening and a whole day there. And there's plenty of beaches and incredible things that happen on the island of Naxos that you'll be able to go and explore and have a good time. The next day is when we transfer back to the mainland to a town called Nafplio. So Nafplio is on the Peloponnesian Peninsula, and it has this kind of, it's a port city, so most of it's on the right side. There is a beach down here on the left side, which I'll show you how to get there, and it's really easy to walk from our hotel. And this is where we'll be for a number of days. This is where we're going to see our first show of the Athens Epidaurus Festival, which happens out in Epidaurus, or Epidavros, as they call it. And so this is where the festival kicks off in the Grand Theater here on the right. Um, you'll see the first show there, and then the next morning we'll have a response class just to be able to check in with each other and see talk about what we saw the night before. And the you'll have a free day until that night. Again, we're going to go back to Epidaurus, but this time we're going to go to the little theater. So there's a smaller theater on the other side, closer to the town of Epidaurus. This is the ancient complex. So both of them are ancient theaters, but anyway. And then so we'll have this sort of same kind of setup. So we'll see a show, and in the morning around 10 o'clock, we'll have a response to the show class. And then we'll take a tour of Mycenae, where we'll see the tomb of Agamemnon and the palace where Clytemnestra and Agamemnon hung out. And the things you've probably read about Agamemnon and Clytemnestra and through the Iliad or the Odyssey, and many, many, many other Greek myths and plays. We'll have a class here from several of the experts, devised theater class. We'll visit the Napolio Archaeological Museum on the 6th. And then the next day, we have a performance again connected to the theater class there on the 7th. And these are the folks that are going to be leading those classes. And I mentioned Dr. Maria Mikidaki, who lectures was going to lecture us at the Theater of Dionysus and in Epidaurus. And her specialties include space and scenography of ancient theaters, architecture. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background. He's very excited about having dinner. He demands dinner on time. And she also is an expert on costumes and mask of ancient Greek theater. And then we have classes. The classes I mentioned are led by Dr. Christina Zoninow, who is a specialist in acting and stage practice and social and applied theater practices. Both of those are connected with the University of Peloponnese. So this is our festivals. This is what the festival kind of looks like in two different places. I mentioned already the ancient theater of Epidaurus, but there's also in Athens itself is a warehouse district um, where they have modern theaters that are like in found spaces. And it's a very, I'm going to show you a video in a second so I could just, but then you see new works as well as the classics being reinterpreted. You can tell obviously that show there in the middle is a modern take. And as well as the others. So they're much more up to date than you would think. And this is just a look at what that looks like. Oh, I don't think the video. I may have to send that video out because I don't see my. Let me hit escape, enable content, and then come back. Continue to share. Okay. Are we okay? Hope you guys can see this. Yeah, so obviously that's from a few years ago, but you get a sense of what the Athens Epidaurus vibe is like for sure. This is, not your typical, ancient theater presentation. Um, on July 8th, we head back to Athens. You have a free evening that day. And then on the 9th, you have a free day until the show at night when we go out to Piraeus 260, which I'll explain what that is in a second. And then on July 10th, we have a tour of the Agora, which is where the birth of democracy took place in Greece, and the National Archaeological Museum. We're free until the evening show, again, out at Piraeus 260. Again, we'll see a show on the 11th. And then on the 12th, we take a day trip up to Delphi, where you get to meet the Oracle of Delphi, which was right down here is where the Oracle would sit on her tripod. And we have a lunch there, and then we make it back to Athens, hopefully in time for a show. That one is optional. And then the next day is when we have a free day until our farewell dinner at 8 p.m. or a little bit earlier, sorry, because we have evening show at 9 o'clock, and the July 14th is the end of the program. Um, yeah, so what is this Preyas 260 I keep talking about? This is the warehouse complex I mentioned before, just so you can check out the vibe of this place. This is all of these different warehouses that you see are different theaters. And some will be, you'll see dance pieces, different things. There's all kinds of like food truck and bars. There's people come and hang out and they want to hang out with other people. It's a good time. So this is in between shows. Sometimes there's a dance piece. It's only uh, 30, 40 minutes, and then you have a break, and then there's another one. So it just depends on what's going on that night. And you notice she's singing in English. So English is very prevalent, especially in Israel. Yeah. So you have a sense. Okay, and then our farewell dinner. Guess what? There's more dancing in a circle with Andrea. So lots of that fun stuff that happens. So here's a look at our hotels, accommodations. If you're wondering, well, like, okay, what kind of flea bag you're going to be sticking us in? No, 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 none of that. These are the hotels we'll be having. Actually, over here is Hotel Plaka. This is where we start in Athens. And then we head to Santorini. I talked about you jumping in the pool. There's the pool at Hotel Santorini. I mean, the new Arula in Santorini, run by Mrs. Arula, and their dog, Lucy. Lucy's the dog's name. Very, very cute. Um, and then the Hotel Grotto in Naxos and the Hotel Rex in Nafplio. So that's the type of accommodations. There's shared rooms, so everybody will have a roommate, and we'll work out roommate a little bit later on. Um, okay, so classes. So in case you're wondering about like what about the academics? Well, there's two classes. And the first one is 4460, which is the history of dramatic arts. And this is focused on the Greek playwrights. So this is where we'll get to know a little bit more about the playwrights that we know about, that still survive and some of their works. Once we find out which plays are going to be shown, we'll be reading those plays so that we have a better understanding. And then the other class, the 4800, is theater in practice. So, and that has to do with um, vocal performance, movement, mask and costume, scenery, properties, all of those supporting elements that went into ancient theaters. And then also, how does that relate to what we're seeing on stage um, at this time? So, all of that, is something we will discuss. But that's more about like how the theaters are performing now. Okay, so our what's all the money? So let's talk about the money a little bit. So the program fee has been reduced now to 5,700. What's included is the transportation once you arrive in Athens, transfers and ferries, hotel stays, including breakfasts. So all the hotels include their breakfast. So never, you don't have to worry about that food. The tours, tour guides, tips, theater and show tickets, the guest speakers and all the class materials, and several meals, including the welcome and farewell dinners, lunches and excursions in Delphi and Mycenae. So all of those lunches will be covered. What's not covered is the airfare. So to and from Athens, Greece. Meals other than those four or five that's on the itinerary. and any extra travel, of course, that you want to take as a part of the itinerary. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. And of course, any souvenirs or personal spending. So how does that look in a budget? So the if you look on the brochure page, it gives you this kind of big scary budget here. And I want to just break this down because some of it is not applicable to some of you, hopefully. So right off the bat, the fee is the same, so 5,700. And then you have tuition, which most of you, I think, are still on Hope or have Zell Miller. And the Zell Miller will cover the tuition. So I hope that you still kept up your grades and have your Hope and Zell Miller because that'll be covered. If not, then the tuition is an additional $2,004. There's a bunch of little fees here, $20, $2.76. So all of that is the same. And there's a $300 deposit to hold your spot, which is needed ASAP. So if you want to fill out your application, remember we only have 3 slots left. So getting that deposit in as soon as possible, getting through your application, which I'm more than willing to help you figure that out. The application is pretty easy. But that deposit is what we need to get in to hold your spot. So, a passport. So, if you've never had a passport before or never had one as an adult, the OGE has what's called the Passport Initiative, and they will pay for you to get a new passport. If you have a passport already, then great, and that's a zero cost. Um, if you need to get it renewed, however, that would be on you to get that renewed, and that's a reduced cost. I think it's 85 if you rush it. So just keep that in mind. The airfare again is on you guys to pay in addition to the fee. Right now it's estimated at 1,500. That's with connections. If you want to fly direct, it's at right around 1,800. Direct both ways. If you choose to do correct connections, which we'll talk about more in the February mid-February meeting, I'll have information and just talk through how to book your airfare, air travel. I always suggest making a connection through either Amsterdam or Paris or Frankfurt, one of those airports that can handle and has other options. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit more of that once we get further down the road in that first meeting. Your meals. So your meals, I estimate at $50 a day. However, you can go less. So you could find, euros for $6. You can find, things, there's much cheaper places to go. I put $50 a day being $20 for lunch, 20 euros, sorry, and 20 and 30 for dinner. But that's on the higher end. So I do think you could chip that down a little bit if you need to. There's no book cost, so I took that off, and living expenses. So you might need around $150 dollars extra just to buy shampoo. You're gonna want to buy sunblock when we get there. I'll show you there's much cheaper, better sunblock, higher quality sunblock in Europe than there is here, that without all the chemicals. So that's something to consider. And we'll talk about that when we get a little closer. Anyway, the other thing I didn't talk about with the airfare was, do you know somebody who works for Delta or has mileage points? Then hit them up now because you could possibly use someone's miles there for your travel. Anyway, so the approximate total is $8,648 there. That's 2 grand off of the one that the Study Away program comes up with. So just keep that in mind. That tuition is a bulk of that. That's a little bit less. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Now, another thing to help you guys out are financial aid. So I just actually I need to change this. The general OGE scholarship deadline is February 3rd. Um, I just heard that February 3rd is the deadline. So you want to click on these two QR codes, take a screenshot of this, um, and you look up the OGE General Scholarship. That one is $1,500. That's the easiest one right off the bat, but there's more. There's way more than that. The bottom QR code is actually for the Passport Initiative. So that will get you that free Passport Initiative paid. So you can click on that as well. Just to give you a sample, so this is when I did a quick search, these are a couple of um, scholarships to look for. Sustainability micro grants, there's $1,000 there. If you're in the honors international scholars program, has a range from 25 to 5,000 per award, and those applications are open right now. So you'd want to apply to that. There's experiential learning scholarships. That deadline is February 12th, but you want to apply as soon as possible. That one's 3,000. Um, and then you have Curo. So the Curo has several different ways to go. There's a summer research fellowship. That's 3,000. You want to apply now, even though the deadline is March 15th, but you want to get that in as soon as possible. There's a research award, which is 1,000. Again, that deadline's later, but you want to go ahead and get those things in now. Excuse me. And then outside of UGA, you can apply for the Benjamin Gilman International Scholarship, which is 5,000. So there's lots and lots of money out there. You just have to go to that website that I just mentioned for search, and those links are on the brochure page for that search um, page that we have there on the brochure page. You can look for all of these there or take a screenshot, or I can email this to you and you guys can take a look at this and just click on these links. Okay, so I keep talking about the brochure. If you haven't already found this, this is our QR code for the brochure. You need to submit your application now, if this sounds even remotely like something you want to do, so that we can get working on. There's a couple of things. We need to have an interview, so a really short interview with me, and then you need to have a recommendation from a faculty member, and that is just a short form for them to fill out. And those are the two really hardest things about the brochure. Um, so you can go on there and go ahead and get that in. The deadline for the whole shebang, really to get the application in by the 6th would be ideal. But you have those other deadlines. So early next week would be better. Go ahead and start it over the weekend. And then we can work through those last minute getting the recommendations and the whatnot through next week to finish it up by the 6th and get your deposit paid, because that's the only way to hold your spot is to have that deposit paid. Okay, so one last oh, I had another video I was going to share with you. Let's see. Okay, I'll stop that share. And then let's see. Um, yeah, I'll send that. I'll send that other video. It's just a fun little video that they made last year. I don't did Dr. Salt show that in class or no?
Um, the presentation was a while ago. He showed a lot of photos. I don't
Oh,
remember if
okay.
he showed the video, but
Okay. Yeah. Um, okay. So what kind of questions do you have for us? And by the way, this is Brielle. Brielle,
hi,
say
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, I popped in late. I was working in the shop.
Yeah, we're in the middle of putting up a show, so yeah, it's a little yeah, so what kind of questions do you have, Louise?
I don't know. I feel like that was very helpful. Like the brochure, like in the website, like it had a lot of information, but I liked the like individual breakdown of every day and like the hotel stuff. I had a question about like the monthly meetings. Like how did
Mhm.
those look or when did they start? Because I know they start like mid-February, but
Yeah, so I'm looking to get those started around the 16th, like that week, 16th through the 20th. So I was trying to, get these applications and the get this other deadline hit. So we might back it up to the 23rd, but that would be the 23rd, the Monday, the 23rd, and we would just gather in 310 at 5:30 on that Monday. And like I said, I would hope that the first couple of ones we have in person, and then from then we can do Zoom just to break it out and so you guys, I know everyone's busy and they've got a lot of stuff going on. Usually, most of the theater majors, Monday night is their off night because rehearsals. So it's just an hour long, and we just talk through, the particulars about traveling to Greece.
okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll be sending out information soon, um, as soon as I get those dates solidified.
Thank you.
Okay. What else do you think?
Um, for the like the $300 deposit, are
Yeah.
we gonna get like an email like your application has been approved to like do that, or should I just like
Yes.
periodically check the
No, no,
website?
no.
Okay.
You'll get an email the minute that it'll said you've been changed to accepted. So now's the time to commit. And so it'll tell you to go back on to your application and step through the two process. So you hit the commit button and then it'll pop up with pay your deposit. And then it'll take a credit card there to go ahead and pay that. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I think was the application pretty easy for you?
Yeah, it was very straightforward and
Great.
quick, so
Okay,
easy to
cool.
navigate.
Yeah, we try to make it pretty easy. We don't make it too hard on folks. So yeah, super. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, Brielle, can you think of anything that I didn't quite cover?
Not entirely. I just had a question about you, Louise. What major are you? I don't know if
I'm currently an intended journalism major. I just applied to Grady and then I'm a theater minor, but I'm switching to a major actually, so I'm excited about that. And Dr. Ingerman told me that you did the set for Evil Dead and I saw it and I thought it was super cool. So,
thank you. Yeah, it was a lot, but I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
of
Yeah,
course.
always happy to have more people in the theater department.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't have nothing else really came to mind.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, let me